What's up, guys? This is Lucid Rain, and today we're going to talk about sleepwalking, what we know about it, just some weird slash creepy stories about it, and stuff like that. So, to begin with, I just want to say we don't know what it is, like why people sleepwalk, or what the cause is, or anything like that. And you would think we would, because it's a semi-common thing that people get. But that goes with, like, sleep paralysis. We don't know anything about dreams, like stuff like that. That's primarily in our minds. We just don't understand. And you would think we would, because this stuff is like pretty common, but I guess we just don't have a way of knowing about this stuff. So I don't know.
If you look at it like this, psychology is pretty much a pseudoscience, just with the fact that a lot of it's about perception and how do you measure perception? Like how do you measure what someone else sees through their eyes?
Yeah,
It's
right.
kind of impossible, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
Like,
something that will ever change, to be honest.
no, I maybe if they advance in medical science to the point where kind of how people say that we're going to be able to upload our minds to the grid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think then it might be a possibility, and there's a chance that it could be a reality. I think we're
Yeah.
far away from that, and
Probably way down the line.
I think that's a scary thought. Anyway,
Yeah. Kind of is,
like
yeah.
I don't know if anyone's talking about that saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Sounds horrifying to me,
It does, yeah.
honestly.
But yeah, like, people's behavior while sleepwalking varies so greatly. Like, no two people sleepwalk the same way, it seems. Like, there there's been people who have literally killed people, and, like, we'll get into that. And then there's been people, like, I remember this video, I sent you this video a long time ago of the girl who walked in her room, and of her sister's room, and just stared at her, and you could tell she was sleepwalking. Like, at least I think she wasn't, like, acting or something. Her face looked dead.
Lexi. Hey. Stop staring at me like that. Alexis. Yo, you're starting to freak me the out. Mom! Mom!
I'll put that video on the screen if I find it again, but it was fucking creepy, because she walked in her room and literally just stared at her, and she was freaking out, and she was, like, calling her mom to wake her up. I don't know, I guess she was, like, she felt threatened, so she didn't want to, like, touch her and wake her up herself. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know why she didn't do that, but it was a pretty creepy video.
Yeah, I remember that video. I'm sure
I
she
was like,
felt
what
used
in
to
the
it
world?
because when people sleepwalk, it's not usually like, oh, they sleepwalk once and they never do it
Oh,
again.
yeah. They do it
Usually it's
often,
like,
probably.
yeah, or I don't know. You could probably link it to something. I would think there's probably studies going. Maybe it has to do with like trauma.
Yeah,
That's what
I don't
I would
know.
guess. I mean, probably not every case,
Not every case.
but I would think it'd be something connected to like trauma or something like that. I mean that makes sense to me.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
just because it makes sense to me doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Obviously,
yeah.
so keep that in mind. But
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's just weird how it's like, why did I guess do you think they're dreaming as they're sleepwalking? That's something I never thought about until, like, just now. Are they, like,
it could be.
acting out their dreams or something? Like, that's kind of what I was
I
thinking.
mean, it could be because you hear people that sleepwalk and then go in their kitchen and just
Yeah.
fucking wreck everything,
Yeah.
put shit anywhere and everywhere.
If I had a family member that sleepwalked, I'd be scared that they'd literally, like, fucking fall down the stairs and snap their neck. Like, I would be scared, terrified, actually, of that happening to them.
Yeah, I think that's a realistic fear.
There was a guy, to get into some of the stories. There was a guy who I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, he was sleepwalking and he literally drove. He drove while sleepwalking somehow to like his parents' house or something. He attacked his mom and dad, killed one of them. One of them made it out alive, but he killed one of them, and I don't remember what
He
he
was
did after that.
he
But
was
he got
acquitted.
caught. Was he?
He was he was acquitted. So he didn't. I don't believe he served any jail time for that. And it was like one of the
That's
first
crazy.
cases, and it might be the only case where someone was acquitted of murder via sleepwalking.
I mean, that might
It's-
be the only case of murder while sleepwalking. Period. I don't know.
No, there's been quite a few of them.
Is there?
There's actually a pretty long list of those.
Okay. I guess that's not too surprising.
I don't have all of them at my disposal in front of me, but I know for a fact there's
He's
at
not the
least
only one.
yeah, and that's just the cases that people tried to plead that they were sleepwalking and didn't do it, and there's maybe 3 people that were acquitted and just as many that were not.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure I am 100% sure that some people are gonna say murder someone and then say, "Oh, I was sleepwalking," as some bullshit excuse. Like, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But I'm sure some people actually were like legitimately sleepwalking, as crazy as that is. That's just wild.
I'm sure.
Like, that's the most insane shit I've ever heard in my life.
It's not really that far fetched, to be honest with you.
The thing that gets me is that he was driving. That's what really, like,
Well,
I'm like, how?
I can tell you this is, someone who allegedly would be out late at night doing whatever, who knows. At a certain point, you get good enough where you're like able to, if you know an area, there's a certain like areas that I could straight up drive with my eyes closed.
Yeah, if you really, really know an area, like, yeah. So maybe it's the same deal. I don't know. Like, and there's been quite a few people. This one's less surprising, but that have died while sleepwalking just by just simple accidents. Like, but there was one guy who it was snowing outside, and the guy was sleepwalking. He walked outside without any clothes really, and fell over in the snow and literally froze to death. Well, he didn't freeze to death, but you get what I mean. Like, he was too cold, so he died. So, which is like, that's gotta be like like horrible for the people who know him, because they're just like, oh, what happened to him? Oh, he was sleepwalking, walked outside in the snow with no clothes on, and fucking died. Like, that's just, how do you explain that to someone? That's just horrible.
Yeah, that's pretty rough, and that's a horrible way to go. And I think that is one thing that's crazy is you hear stories about people sleepwalking, and kind of like how the girl was screaming in her sister's face, like the fact of how loud she was yelling for her mom.
Yeah.
Like, you would think that would have wakened her up.
You would think, yeah.
So honestly, it's kind of crazy to think about. Sometimes external stimuli just doesn't
do anything, apparently.
Yeah, it just doesn't do the trick. Yeah, and that is not fun at all. It's not cool.
I mean, I guess if someone is just a deep sleeper, then yeah, some people don't wake up until they wake up themselves. Like, that, you just can't really wake them up because they're just deep sleepers. So maybe it's the same deal. Like, I don't know, because I mean, honestly though, she was yelling and she wasn't waking up, but like the second her mom like touched her shoulder or whatever, she kind of woke up immediately. So it's like, maybe it's a little easier to you actually touch someone to wake them up rather than like them hearing you like talk to them or whatever.
Yeah, it could go. I'm not gonna say hand in hand, but maybe something similar to astral projection. Kind
Yeah,
of
like
just with
like
the
their
fact,
mind is
like,
just somewhere else.
yeah, like astral projection in particular. Yeah, they essentially say like you have a rope and you're tethered, and sometimes if you're far away and you're trance or whatever state, what have you, none that anyone can do could wake you up. If you're gone, like you're not getting woken up.
That makes sense if you're thinking like that your mind, like in terms of astral projection, it's kind of off topic, but if your mind is away from
I mean, they're
your
similar.
body, yeah, your mind's away from your body, I imagine you'd have no way of waking up, like because that I assume that would be impossible. You have to be, you know, mind and body for you to be conscious, right? Like, or just move around, I guess I should say.
Yeah, so it could be something similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I am curious to see if they like are like, say you woke up a sleepwalker. I'm curious if you could ask them like if they were dreaming and see if they were like that's why they were sleepwalking, because they're kind of just like acting out their dream or something. There was also there was a guy who this one's funny. It's not like creepy or anything. There was a guy who would wake up every night pretty much and just go down to the kitchen and cook fucking like gourmet meals, like big meals, and he would spoil all the food because he was doing this like every night or every other night, and he couldn't stop. Like they didn't know what to do, and his wife was like, "You gotta stop doing this shit." And he just kept on making meals, and like the lady said the food would always spoil, and like they'd waste tons of money on food because of because of him doing this. But she also said the food he would make would be like really good, but it's like at the same time she said it spoiled by the time, and by the morning, by the time she came down and saw it was all spoiled. So I don't that doesn't really add up, but I don't know. That's just the craziest thing ever. Just people's behavior while sleep, it's insane.
Yeah,
It's like,
I don't know.
Who knows what you could do?
Yeah, it is scary. Yeah, to a
Because
certain extent.
you have a certain amount of, I don't know what the word would be, I guess intelligence or consciousness, I don't know. Like you know what you're doing kind of a little bit.
Well, I think it just kind of goes and depends on what theory and like what angle you attack it. Because honestly, I think there's certain angles where you kind of look at it and it really doesn't make any sense, and you try and figure it out. And there's pretty much it's pretty hard to rationalize.
Yeah, it's like it's the most unpredictable thing because it's just you don't know. I don't know. Someone could hurt themselves. They could kill someone. They could make food. It's like, geez, I feel bad for someone who has a family member who does that. I really do.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of sad in a way.
It's like they probably have so much to deal with, so much to worry about.
Yeah, it's a major bummer. And the fact that things like that and sleep paralysis, I mean, we're just kind of grasping at straws for
Yeah.
for explanations, and we
Basically.
really don't have any basis on, really anything about it.
Yeah, anything in that field, like dreams and all that kind of sleeping and stuff like that. Like, we don't know anything about that stuff. I think the one thing we apparently know, this is still kind of grasping at straws for the most part, but apparently we know what causes lucid dreaming for the most part. which I'm not like remembering exactly what those causes are, but like there's literally videos on YouTube you can look up, or articles or whatever it may be that are just like, if you want a lucid dream, you can do these a few steps to like make sure it
Well,
happens, or almost guarantee it.
kind of the same thing with astral projection, really. Yeah, there's guides to anything. I'm sure there's pretty much guides to whatever you want or need.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't think there's a way to guarantee dreaming in general, though. I know, because lucid dreaming, that's from what I've heard, it's usually if you so happen to dream, you will lucid dream. If you do this, and I don't think anything can just straight up cause you to dream, but I may be wrong about that.
I mean, I think there's different ways. There's certain foods that you can eat. There's certain ways that you can do.
Yeah,
things
I mean, it
to-
wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah, there are ways. I think it's kind of annoying and not that easy to do. And I guess it'd be like kind of compared to someone in a drug-filled daze where they're
Yeah.
in
right.
control of their actions and they're there, but at the same time they're not. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's
that
like,
could
who
be
knows?
Yeah, it can be pretty terrifying. Because if it's someone that has say a history of mental illness or something, or really struggles with, let's say, controlling their emotions, and then they're in a heightened state of awareness, maybe they'll act out, and that's something that is,
Yeah,
borderline
that's pretty
terrifying to
scary.
think.
That sounds like someone in that condition with who
Would sleepwalk sounds like a recipe for disaster, but what do I know?
Sounds like absolute terror.
Yeah.
I mean, it's especially scary because it's like the people who have harmed other people or themselves in their sleep are like I feel like they're typically people that don't have that intent in any way at all. So like if say there's someone, the only guy I know who killed someone is the one guy, but I'm pretty sure that guy had no intention of actually harming anyone, especially
Well,
not his own parents.
Here's the problem with that is, can you really figure out intent? Because intent kind of stays with someone, so I mean that's kind of an impossible task to figure out what someone was actually intending.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean,
I mean, you can only go off their word, I guess.
yeah, exactly. And if someone's going to lie through their teeth,
Yeah.
no matter, especially if they did it. If they did it, they're going
Oh,
to do
yeah.
anything they can.
Yeah, that's
Especially
very true.
if they're trying to pull, I was sleepwalking. Obviously, it's kind of hard to gauge whether these people are sleepwalking or not, especially because, I mean, you're in a state of awareness. Your eyes are open, you're moving, you're speaking. What do we define consciousness as? I guess would be the question.
Yeah. I
And it's
mean,
kind
I
of
imagine if someone was like somehow killed themselves or something while they were sleepwalking, I may be wrong, but I feel like that would throw people, investigators and stuff for a loop, and they'd be like, how on earth did this person die? Because that can't be like the first thing on the table, right? He was sleepwalking. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah, I don't think you'd get away with that argument. But who knows? It's not something that happens enough that I just feel like we don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, how do you deal with that? It's just they're completely unpredictable. So,
Well, I guess it could be predictable depending on who it is, but for the most part, it's like you don't know what to expect out of someone like that.
Yeah, it's terrifying, honestly. I kind of think that's really all you can say about it is just absolutely a terrifying thought, especially if someone has resentment and it like it's kind of like being drunk, you know. Maybe in that
Yeah.
state you act out how you actually feel. So if you really don't like someone, like let's say you're a kid that doesn't get along with his parents and has a really rough time, and you know that drives you to sleepwalk, and then you do end up doing something horrible to them.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna, you know, not get any sympathy or benefit of the doubt, and that's gonna end up with, you know, you being fucked and
Yeah, I
having to
mean,
suffer consequences
yeah.
because you were in a bad situation. I mean, that
That
sucks, but
suck, dude. You can't control your unconscious mind. I mean, it's basically like being drunk, like you said. Even though being drunk is not being unconscious, but it's pretty similar to being less conscious, I guess you could say. So it's like,
eh,
I don't know.
honestly,
Weird
it's
situation.
terrifying just thinking about your unconscious. Just
It is, yeah.
because, like, you don't have any control. You really don't have any control over
You
what
have
you
no
think.
control over it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't know why we think the way we think. Honestly, I'm not sure. That's another thing I don't think we necessarily have an answer for.
I mean, think about it. Imagine if we, you know, everyone in the world acted on their thoughts and couldn't control that, whether they acted on their thoughts or not.
Oh,
It
this
would
world wouldn't
be
exist.
exactly. It would be hell. Like it literally would, cause you would do terrible things, and cause everyone thinks horrible things sometimes. So you're obviously 90% of the time you don't act on them, but if you, for example, couldn't control your actions, which possibly is what's going on with sleepwalking, that's like fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Well,
That's
this
like
is always
horrible.
something that I've thought is what makes a person a good person or a bad person is just if they act on the thoughts that they have in their head.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm sure everyone's in a situation where they're thinking something that someone who is considered a monster has done. And the fact is,
Yeah,
what makes someone who's a rational member of society is that they understand that you can't do stuff like that. And they, you know, analyze that thought and say, you know, like, there's a reason I'm having this thought. Maybe I need to work on some stuff. And
yeah,
even
right.
if you don't analyze it that deeply, just going and not acting on a horrible idea. I mean, it's
Yeah,
about
right.
impulse control, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you could think about something.
As much as you want, but as long as you just don't act on it, you're golden, I guess. I mean, or you could argue,
I mean,
no, you
it's
shouldn't be
probably
thinking those things, but
yeah, it's probably not best if you're thinking unhealthy thoughts. You should
yeah, for
probably
sure.
try and seek help, or you know, try and think
But
about other things.
that's
And
the thing. You're gonna wanna get help before you end up actually acting on that shit.
yeah, I mean, subconscious is it's a loaded question, and it's a loaded thing that's damn near impossible to understand.
Yeah, it reminds me of
And even
it,
there are ways of, I guess, people that get their thoughts out without acting on them necessarily.
I
But
mean, fiction.
I mean,
People,
we kind of talked about like disturbing movies and stuff like that, and you can
yeah, right.
argue with that stuff is like borderline, yeah,
Yeah.
borderline not cool in the
I mean,
slightest.
that's the thing, is like fiction is like, that's usually where people get their horrible thoughts and stuff out.
Because they can't do these things in real life, so they just make this horrible like media and stuff. It's just like, all right. I mean,
as long as you don't do anything crazy, I guess you can make a disgusting movie or a disgusting song or whatever it is. Just don't kill anyone.
Yeah, that I mean, some of that stuff like doesn't need to exist. So
Yeah, for a
I don't
fact.
know. It's kind of like
I kind of do have a problem with it, but because is it really fair to say you can make
like a
a
snuff
basically
film. I mean, yeah,
you can basically make a unwatchable piece of media, disgusting piece of media, as long as you're not like actually harming people. It's like that's not really like it's not really like fair to say. It's two completely different ball games. Like I don't
yeah.
know.
I think it is kind of weird, and I want to get off of this topic, but I'll just say it's something. If you look at a lot of
Okay.
those movies, I mean, they kind of do actually hurt people and do the things that they're doing, and that's why they're so disturbing. So, I mean, that's kind of like a big problem with that theory and that thought is the fact that a lot of these things, there's no way for you to replicate them without like, or even replicating. In the fact that you're replicating them, you pretty much basically are doing that.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, pretty
and,
much.
I mean, there's a lot of examples, just like Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, he shot animals.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not cool.
I mean, there's no redeeming quality. Like, there's no argument that you can make that's like, yeah, it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could make that argument, but who's going to do that?
Yeah, I mean the best
I mean,
thing
those
to
animals
do-
didn't deserve to die. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's what you could argue right there. If someone's like, well, it was just an animal, say, yeah, but you're going to somewhere that's not your homeland. It's different if you're someone who lives in the Amazon and that's part of your actual daily life and you run across the fucking jaguar, then yeah, you're probably going to defend yourself. But
Well, yeah.
you're
I mean,
just coming in there for
different.
fucking making a movie.
Yeah, right.
Like,
It's like you're taking living things' lives for a movie. That doesn't sit well with me. Yeah, I mean the thing is like everyone says if you're having like bad thoughts or whatever it is, everyone says get help, talk to someone, but that's kind of a problem because no one who's having horrible thoughts really is gonna accept the fact that they're kind of in the wrong and they're fucked up and they don't really want to let people know that they're fucked up also. So
well,
it's like
I'm pretty sure it's a societal problem. I mean, someone who has probably, their subconscious is wreaking havoc. It's going to be frowned upon, and they're probably not going to get like a fair shot anyway.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, they're going to be judged.
unless it's a professional, you're definitely going to be judged hard for a fact.
Yeah, and I mean that could be something that a reason that someone doesn't want to do that, which
Yeah,
it's just
it's
part
like
of the game.
It's like the Mappa community on Twitter. I'm not gonna get into what that is right now, but if you know, you know. It's these people that are just like, yeah, I think what I like what I like, and I should be accepted for it. And it's just like everyone's just saying, please get help, like please, before you like do something illegal.
Yeah, I think we did make a video on that. That's just
We
like
did, yeah. Which is why I'm not
I-
gonna like get into
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of similar to what we're talking about. Say someone has tendencies like that and they're sleepwalking. I mean, they could seriously do damage to
Yeah.
somebody.
They could
You know?
actually do something horrible.
And if someone's not conscious or something, can they be charged with it? I guess that'd be like it'd be like a question about morality. Like,
Yeah. I don't know really if they should be
Does
charged
it-
with it.
if a tree falls in the forest, it doesn't make a sound. Like, if you're not technically in control of your actions, what do you do?
Yeah, because that's different from being drunk because you decided to drink. That's kind of different. But if you're sleepwalking, you literally have no control over that. So I feel like you probably should not be charged for that, but I don't think anyone else is gonna agree with that. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
everyone would
Well,
pretty
let's
much say
say
no, you should be charged for that.
let's put do a hypothetical. Let's say that your cousin was just going along, and then someone that someone that was just walking down the street was actually sleepwalking and just bites their face off. Yeah, I mean, you and your family are going to be like, this guy needs to be charged. He's a fucking monster.
Yeah, exactly.
And the guy wakes up with blood all over him in a holding cell, and he's like, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah.
And I mean, like, what if you're the person that got their child's face bit off? You're probably gonna have some things to say, like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like justice is definitely influenced by what people want.
Out of the situation, it definitely is. They'll probably tell you it's not, but it like for a fact is. So you're probably
well, the
not
justice
getting
system
away with
is
nothing.
skewed,
Like,
and the fact that it is, I guess, what's a good word? The circumstantial and changes. It's just incredibly biased,
Yeah, right.
and pretty much one of the most unfair systems out of anything. Like,
yeah,
we have no like consistent basis, and then we do have like where they do case studies, like stuff like Plessy versus Ferguson and shit like that. But even then, like, that shit doesn't get followed all the time. I mean, there's an implicit bias and there's a racial bias in America, and I'm sure in a lot of other countries. And depending on what country, it's not always a black and white thing. It's a bunch of different things. But the fact is,
yeah,
it exists, and even sometimes it's reversed. To what it is. But you can't sit there and deny that there's problems that people face that they were not brought upon themselves. Like that they were.
yeah,
You're born with inherited problems from society, essentially.
Yeah,
And it
right.
sucks, and I think everyone understands that it's unfair and fucked up. But I guess part of the world and part of life is just trying to I guess take the hand that you're dealt and do the best that you can with it. Kind of sucks.
yeah, right.
But yeah, like you're gonna. I think say if there's like 1,000 people saying, not literally 1,000, but like a lot of people saying, "Oh, we don't like what this guy did. He shouldn't have done that. I don't care if it wasn't his fault. He still did what he did." If everyone's saying that and they're all on that side, you can probably bet your ass that they're gonna be like, "Yeah, this guy's not getting away with this."
Yeah, I think that's pretty much on the spot with that. Morals are essentially just melded with the times. Morals change depending on what area you're in. I mean, if we're looking at 1,000 years ago, the world is absolutely nothing like it is right now. Like, absolutely nothing. There's pretty much not a single comparison.
Yeah.
Like, we could even do 20 years. Let's say 20 years ago, right? 20 years ago, we'll do a little further back. Let's say 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whenever, before, labor laws were in effect, kids were forced into factories and all sorts of wild shit. Now, do you think that, obviously, that wouldn't fly nowadays? Like, but that was something that was a regular thing and
Yeah,
no
completely
one had
normal.
a problem with.
Yeah,
I mean, kids in coal mines, fucking face full of soot, getting, getting wrecked before they're even fucking old enough to read, not even getting the chance to fucking learn how to read because they're working in fucking coal mines. Like,
yeah, right.
I think I don't know how anyone could look at that and think it's not ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean nowadays, yeah, and it'll probably be the same thing. 30 years from now, we'll probably look back and be like, "Wow, that used to be a thing."
Yeah, I mean, even just look, it's all about culture, really. I mean, in certain cultures kind of do stuff that we think is taboo today, like polygamy. I mean, a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, and I'm not sure how much it has to do with Islam or not, but think about all the Middle Eastern like guys that have like 14, 15 wives, like a lot. And then, arranged marriages. I mean, if you look in America, like that shit's, it's not even frowned upon. It's just like unheard of. People are like, wait, your parents forced you to marry someone? Like,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
we would look at that like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's very true.
So morals aren't necessarily what right between right and wrong. It's more or less just a sign of the times.
Yeah, right.
Kind of got off topic, but it's all pretty
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah, I mean, it's relevant enough.
I guess in conclusion,
Yeah.
sleepwalking, we don't understand it. We have pretty much no basis on what it is. All we know is that it's terrifying.
Yeah, all we could do is
Yes.
speculate for now.
Yeah,
Until like
I'm not
20
really
years
sure
go by.
that science is going to be able to get to because if we start understanding consciousness and getting all that, it's going to answer a lot of questions. And I think it'll answer questions some questions are the answer is too big to understand.
Yeah,
And
like
even if you
profound
understood
shit.
there's a lot of answers that I don't think we can comprehend.
Yeah,
Like
That-
we can
I'd believe it.
can get the answer, but we won't know what we're looking at.
yeah, right.
Or we won't have we could even comprehend, but it's something that basically would alter everything that you know. And I'm sure maybe they understand that, so they kind of distance themselves from trying to delve too deep in that type of thing, because once you start delving into the realm of existentialism, I mean,
Yeah, right.
there's only one way to go, and that's down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
when
think
you get lost in that shit, it is not fun. It's pretty much a one-way
yeah.
ticket of losing your losing your
Losing your
sanity,
mind. Yeah.
and destroying your psyche entirely.
I think we will understand this stuff as soon as we can see what other people see and think, like literally perceive the world through someone else. When we can do that, then we can probably understand like all this, sleepwalking, sleep paralysis, dreams. We can probably understand all of that if we can just see the world through someone else's, on some cyberpunk shit or something.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of would go in line with my personal philosophy, and that's a lot of like spiritual things, and like it just I think it has to do with the universal consciousness and essentially like ancient aliens, different things that I just think it's pretty much too hard to wrap your head around, and it's not something that we would want to deal with.
yeah. I mean, you're just giving.
Ignorance is absolute
asking.
bliss in this
Yeah.
situation.
asking for existential dread, basically, by digging too deep.
So as soon as we start unraveling the candy bar, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to eat it pretty much.
That's
And that's
that is gonna be wild. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but
Gotta be.
maybe it's been happening. Here's the thing too: is you could have all the truth right in front of you, but if you have one truth and five lies, I mean, it pretty much makes it indistinguishable. Especially if
yeah,
the one way to silence the truth is you put a bunch of lies that, you know, let's say like it's kind of like the telephone game. Let's say I was like, Carter has $12 and he bought a toy horse, and then all of a sudden it's Carter has $15 and he bought a toy iguana, and it's, and it's just like subtle changes. Then all of a sudden, what was true is absolutely something that there's pretty much like different. I don't even know what the right word would be. It's something that's so skewed, but it's similar enough that it just is pretty much indistinguishable from the truth. And if you get enough of that, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell anything ever.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if we did get to the point where we unravel all this, all these existential questions, I don't even know if it would really matter, to be honest, because we'd probably be at the point where no one believes any of it anyway. Even if the, smartest guy in the world tells you that that's how it is, something hard to comprehend, people aren't gonna care. Like, people
honestly,
are gonna be like,
that's part of the problem too. Is like everything is kind of subjective and relative. Like the smartest guy in the world, what makes him the smartest guy in the world? Is it his IQ? Because I'm sure there's shit that he's dumb as fuck about. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Whether it be social situations, whether it even be like metaphysical things, like someone can be very intelligent and just dispute, say something like ghosts being a thing, and then it comes out that we have a greater understanding, and he says, "Well, it wasn't logical," and then the fact is, reality is not logical.
Yeah.
So once you start thinking like that, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, and you're kind of doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a burden. Yeah, it's a burden. Intelligence is definitely a burden.
Yeah.
And I feel like the best place to be and the worst place to be is smart enough that you are able to have an open mind and think, and stupid enough to not smart. Just it's like a middle ground of intelligent and not.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because if you are smart enough to question things, but you're also stupid enough to
Not dig too deep.
Yeah, or to be willing to believe. Whereas someone who's fucking really smart, hoity-toity fuck, they're going to be like, well, this is illogical. And they're going to basically probably overlook things that someone who doesn't have an approach. And that's why intelligence is all kind of subjective, and it's all relative. So it's kind of, I guess it would just start with figuring out what intelligence exactly is.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of a long-winded way to say both of them are kind of double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You're either, and it's not good to be too dense that you can't understand what's happening to you.
Oh yeah, right.
And I feel like it's good to be able to understand what's happening to you and being able to just accept it. Whereas someone who is extremely intelligent in like a clinical sense, they'll probably I feel like they'll break down easier because they won't be able to cope with it because it's
Yeah.
when you question people's worldview that are really stupid, it doesn't work. When you question people's worldview that are really smart, it doesn't work. But if you question someone's worldview, it's open-minded and a critical thinker, but open to changing their the way that they look at things. That's kind of like a good balance.
Yeah, right. Well, guys, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.